Imagine, 1916 France. The air is thick with the scent of gunpowder and the distant rumble of artillery fire. The once serene countryside is now a scarred battlefield, a testament to the horrors of war. You're a young soldier, fresh off the train. The platform is crowded with men just like you, their faces a mix of determination and fear. You clutch your rifle tightly, the weight of it both reassuring and terrifying. You thought you were ready. You had trained for this, prepared for this. But as you step off the train and take in the chaos around you, doubt creeps in. The reality of war is far more brutal than you ever imagined. The deafening roar of artillery fire is your welcome. The ground shakes beneath your feet and the sky is lit up with flashes of light. Each explosion sends a shiver down your spine, a stark reminder of the danger that lies ahead. You're ushered towards the trenches, a labyrinth of mud, fear, and resignation. The walls are high and the paths narrow, a maze designed to protect but also to confine. Every step is a struggle, the mud clinging to your boots and slowing your progress. This is your new home. The trench is a world unto itself, a place where time seems to stand still. The men around you are weary, their faces etched with the lines of countless sleepless nights and the weight of their experiences. Your first night is the hardest. The sounds of war are ever present, a constant reminder of the danger that lurks just beyond the trench walls. You lie awake, your mind racing with thoughts of home and the uncertainty of what tomorrow will bring. The stench of death and decay hangs heavy. It's a smell that permeates everything, a grim reminder of the lives lost and the fragility of your own existence. You try to block it out, but it's impossible to escape. Rats scurry in the dark. They are your constant companions, bold and unafraid. They feast on the remnants of war, a stark contrast to the meager rations you are given. Sleep is impossible, the fear and discomfort keeping you awake. The cold seeps into your bones. No matter how many layers you wear, the chill is inescapable. You huddle with your comrades, seeking warmth and comfort in each other's presence. But the cold is relentless, a constant reminder of the harsh conditions you must endure. You're surrounded by men trying to survive just like you. Each one has a story, a life left behind. You form bonds, friendships forged in the crucible of war. These men become your family, your support system in this hellish landscape. You cling to your rifle and pray for dawn. The darkness is oppressive, filled with unseen dangers. Your rifle is your lifeline, your only means of defense. You whisper prayers into the night, hoping for the safety of daylight. You're in a frontline trench. The tension is palpable, every man on edge. You know that at any moment the order to attack could come. You prepare yourself mentally, steeling your nerves for the battle ahead. Just a few hundred yards away are the enemy Germans. You're told they're monsters. The propaganda has painted them as inhuman, a threat that must be eliminated. But deep down you know they are men just like you, caught in the same nightmare. They're told you are too. The enemy sees you as the monster, the threat to their survival. It's a cruel irony, this mutual dehumanization. But in the heat of battle, it's a necessary lie, a way to justify the horrors you must commit. Welcome to the Western Front. This is the epicenter of the conflict, a place where countless lives are lost and the fate of nations is decided. The landscape is a desolate wasteland, a stark contrast to the vibrant life that once thrived here. This is World War I, a war unlike any other. A conflict that will change the course of history. You are a part of it now, a soldier in the midst of the chaos. Your journey has just begun, and the road ahead is fraught with danger and uncertainty. Life in the trenches was a routine of boredom. Day after day, soldiers found themselves stuck in a monotonous cycle. The initial excitement of being on the front lines quickly faded, replaced by a sense of endless waiting. The trenches, dug deep into the earth, became their world. They sat, they waited, and they tried to find ways to pass the time. Some wrote letters home, others played cards, and many simply stared into the distance, lost in their thoughts, punctuated by moments of sheer terror. Days blurred together, the constant threat of enemy fire loomed over them. At any moment, the relative calm could be shattered by the deafening roar of artillery. Shells would rain down, sending soldiers scrambling for cover. The ground would shake, and the air would be filled with the acrid smell of gunpowder. In those moments, the trenches offered little protection. The fear was palpable, and the sense of vulnerability was overwhelming. You wake, eat if you're lucky, and try to stay dry. The daily routine was simple but harsh. Mornings began with the hope of a hot meal. Though rations were often meager and cold, soldiers would huddle together, sharing what little they had. The taste of the food was secondary to the need for sustenance. After eating, they would check their gear, ensuring everything was in working order. The rest of the day was spent trying to stay dry and warm, a nearly impossible task in the damp, muddy trenches. The trenches are always wet rain, mud, and worse. The weather was a relentless enemy. Rain turned the trenches into quagmires, with mud that clung to everything. Soldiers' boots would become heavy with muck, making every step a struggle. The dampness seeped into their clothes, chilling them to the bone. And it wasn't just rainwater that filled the trenches. Overflowing latrines and the remains of fallen comrades added to the filth. The stench was unbearable, a constant reminder of the grim reality of trench life. You stand watch, rifle in hand, looking for any movement in no man's land. Sentry duty was a crucial but nerve-wracking task. Soldiers would peer over the parapet, scanning the desolate landscape for any signs of enemy activity. The tension was high, as even the slightest movement could signal an impending attack. The cold metal of the rifle was a small comfort, a reminder of their duty to protect their comrades. Hours would pass in silence, broken only by the occasional distant gunshot or the rustle of a rat scurrying through the trench. The strip of land between trenches is a wasteland. No man's land was a haunting sight. Once fertile fields were now scarred by craters and littered with barbed wire. The landscape was a testament to the destructive power of war. Trees were reduced to splintered stumps, and the ground was churned up, making it difficult to navigate. The silence of no man's land was eerie, a stark contrast to the chaos of the trenches. It was a place where few dared to venture, knowing that death could come from any direction. It's filled with barbed wire, craters, and the dead. The remnants of past battles were everywhere. Tangled barbed wire created deadly obstacles, and deep craters from artillery shells made the terrain treacherous. The bodies of fallen soldiers lay where they had fallen, a grim reminder of the cost of war. The sight of the dead was a sobering reality for those still fighting. It was a stark reminder of their own mortality, and the thin line between life and death. When the order comes, you go over the top. The command to charge was both dreaded and anticipated. Soldiers would steel themselves, knowing that they were about to face unimaginable danger. Climbing out of the relative safety of the trench, they would advance into no man's land, hearts pounding. The adrenaline surged as they moved forward, each step bringing them closer to the enemy. The sound of gunfire and explosions filled the air, and the ground shook beneath their feet. It was a moment of pure chaos and bravery, charging into no man's land towards enemy trenches. Machine guns roar, men fall around you. The advance was a harrowing experience. Machine gun fire raked the ground, cutting down soldiers in their tracks. The air was thick with smoke and the cries of the wounded. Each step forward was a battle against fear and the instinct to turn back. Comrades fell, some never to rise again. The goal was to reach the enemy trench, but the cost was high. Every inch gained was paid for in blood and lives. You pray you're not next. In the quiet moments, soldiers would find solace in prayer or reflection. The uncertainty of survival weighed heavily on their minds. Each day was a gift, and each night brought the hope of seeing another dawn. The camaraderie among soldiers was a source of strength, but the fear of being the next to fall was ever present. They clung to their faith, their memories of home, and the hope that the war would one day end. The trenches were a breeding ground for disease. Rats thrived, spreading filth. Trench foot was common feet rotting from constant moisture. Amputation was often the only cure. Food was scarce and often rotten. Sleep was a luxury. The constant shelling and fear made rest impossible. Letters from home were a lifeline. They reminded you of the world you were fighting for. You find ways to cope, talk to your mates, sing songs, write letters, anything to forget for a moment where you are. The physical toll was horrific. The mental toll was worse. Today we call it PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Back then it was shell shock, constant bombardment, witnessing death, the fear of never going home. Many soldiers broke under the strain. They were haunted by what they had seen and done. There was little support for these men. They were seen as weak. Many were shot for cowardice. The true enemy wasn't always in the opposing trench. It was the enemy within. Section 5, Trenches, Evolution of Warfare. Trench warfare was a new kind of hell. It led to new technologies, machine guns, poison gas, tanks. each side trying to break the stalemate. Soldiers adapted. They developed new tactics, trench raids, artillery barrages, tunneling under enemy lines. Life depended on innovation. The trenches were a brutal classroom. They taught the world about the horrors of industrial warfare. The lessons learned would shape the wars to come. The war ended, you survived. You returned home, but you were changed. The trenches never left you. The nightmares, the survivor's guilt, the memories of friends lost. You tried to rebuild your life, find work, marry, have children. But the war was always there. In your silence, in your anger, in your inability to connect. The trenches were a crucible. They forged a generation of broken men. Their sacrifice, their suffering should never be forgotten. Amidst the brutality, there were moments of humanity. One such moment was the Christmas truce of 1914. On Christmas Eve, along some parts of the Western Front, something magical happened. Soldiers on both sides laid down their arms. They sang Christmas carols, shared cigarettes, and even played a game of football. It was a brief respite from the horrors of war, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit could prevail. The horrors of trench warfare have been depicted in countless books, films, and poems. Eric Maria Remarque's All Quiet on the Western Front gave a voice to the disillusioned soldier. Movies like 1917 put viewers in the trenches, experiencing the claustrophobia and terror firsthand. These works serve as a reminder of the human cost of war, urging us to strive for peace and understanding. World War I was a conflict unlike any before it. It was a war that introduced the world to unprecedented levels of destruction and suffering. The scale of the conflict was immense, involving nations from across the globe and resulting in millions of casualties. The war's impact was felt not only on the battlefields but also in the hearts and minds of those who lived through it. The trenches became a symbol of its brutality, a stark reminder of the harsh realities of war. These narrow, muddy ditches stretched for miles across the Western Front, serving as both a refuge and a prison for the soldiers who fought there. Life in the trenches was grueling and dangerous, with soldiers facing constant threats from enemy fire, disease, and the elements. Yet, amidst the horror, the trenches also bore witness to acts of incredible bravery and camaraderie. Soldiers formed deep bonds with their comrades, relying on each other for support and survival. They shared stories, letters from home, and moments of laughter, finding solace in their shared experiences. These acts of humanity shone brightly against the backdrop of war, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. But the cost of war was devastating. The fields of Europe were littered with the graves of the fallen, each cross and memorial a poignant reminder of the lives lost. The war left deep scars on the landscape and on the hearts of those who survived. It was a stark lesson in the true cost of conflict, a lesson that we must never forget. We must remember the lessons learned in those muddy, blood-soaked ditches. The sacrifices made by those who fought in the trenches should serve as a powerful reminder of the horrors of war. Their experiences teach us the importance of striving for peace and the need to resolve conflicts through dialogue and understanding. We must strive for peace, understanding, and diplomacy. The legacy of the trenches is a call to action for all of us to work towards a world where such conflicts are avoided. By fostering mutual respect and cooperation, we can build a future where war is no longer seen as an inevitable outcome. War should always be the last resort, never the first. The trenches of World War I stand as a stark reminder of the consequences of failing to find peaceful solutions. We must learn from the past and commit to resolving our differences through dialogue and negotiation. Let us honor the memory of those who fought and died in the trenches by working towards a world where such horrors are never repeated. Their sacrifices should inspire us to build a more just and peaceful world, where future generations can live free from the shadow of war. By remembering the past and striving for a better future, we can ensure that the lessons from the trenches are never forgotten. Let us come together in unity and work towards a world where peace and understanding prevail.